everyone, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk ETC. I have longtime contributors Anthony, otherwise known as Piskel Lusardi, and Kevin Lord of IOHK, and they're going to be discussing the latest ETC news. So welcome, Anthony and Kevin.
Hey, Chris.
Hello. Hi. All right. And thank you for being here. So why don't we go ahead and jump right into it? So Kevin has prepared a list of topics for us. So why don't you lead the way, Kevin?
Okay, so why don't we start off with the group that has definitely the most news coming out, which is ETC Labs. They have a few different events coming up. They've got their cohort launch party, which is going to be going on next week on the 21st. They've finished choosing the startups, which apparently they had to go through 150 applicants. So they've chosen a lot of interesting projects and startups and businesses who have a lot of interesting products. One of the notable ones I noticed was ChainSafe, who also helped get Classic Geth ready for the Atlantis hard fork. So I thought that was really cool. I know ChainSafe is pretty Ethereum side, so it's really, really cool to see them sort of cross-collaborating with ETC and join the ETC Labs cohort. So I thought that was really cool also. So it looks like I think it was 12, let me see, 2, 3, 5, 7 startups. So they're going to be busy for a little while. I know cohort 1 was an absolute success. They had startups like Ethnode, which came out to develop their node hardware, which was for Ethereum Classic and other ETH-based networks. And then there was another one called Button Wallet, which was this Telegram wallet for Ethereum Classic and other handful of cryptos, including Bitcoin. So those are successful ones. Another one I know I saw is Kryzen, which is a lot of algorithmic. So these cohorts are really, in my opinion, they're really beneficial for the ecosystem and as well as for the brand. What do you guys think about this startup? You guys?
No, I agree completely. And I've had a lot of the previous cohort on the show, and I look forward to having some of the new cohort. They always have really interesting things to talk about, to contribute.
Yeah, definitely. And
I think it's great.
And link in the description.
ChainSafe, actually, this is now their third foray into something related. First we had them, they were working on Goerli/Kadi, and now they've been updating the Classic Geth project to update it for Atlantis. So yeah, they're getting really involved in ETC.
That's really great. Cool. I think in the future we'll probably be seeing more cross collaboration as time goes on. You think we'll be seeing that?
Yeah, I think so.
Because there's really no reason not to cross collaborate if it's going to benefit both ecosystems. But obviously,
it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, exactly. I think what coming in with Classic was really, really helpful. Classic Geth makes up like 62% of the nodes on the network. So if we didn't have their help, or we might be set back a little bit. But yeah, they came in, knocked it out, and they've pushed the new release to a few different repositories. That is not just in the ETC Lab core repository; it's also in the Ethereum Classic repository. I'm not sure which other ones I haven't checked, but it's good to see that being pushed to the Ethereum Classic repository as well.
Oh, by the way, that reminds me. So speaking of nodes, everybody needs to update their nodes, right, for the Atlantic.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, the Atlantis hard. I believe it's extremely quick. It's like a little under 3 or 4 weeks out. Yeah, if you are running a node, definitely update your node. We'll provide the appropriate node updates in the description. But yeah, otherwise, if you're not running a node and you're just a regular Joe, you shouldn't feel anything. You shouldn't even notice that there was an update. Yeah, because I mean, if you're using like a third-party service, like a wallet, or maybe, yeah, you're not going to even notice a thing.
So are you aware, I presume Parity is staying on top of this as well, obviously Geth, but yeah, they have the update, you know if Parity does?
Oh yeah. They've,
Okay.
I believe they released an update. They were the first ones to actually release an update for Atlantis,
Okay.
and they actually just released a new version. Okay. So yeah, they're all the clients are updated. So if you do run a node, definitely update it. Otherwise, you're going to be running on the old chain, and that's no good, no bueno.
Now, speaking of collaboration, do you want to say something about the conference in Berlin?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Anthony.
Oh, I'm actually going to be on a panel about collaborating at ETH Berlin, so it should be fun. Yeah, ETH Berlin is, for those who don't know, it's a very large Ethereum conference. Obviously, it's one of the only ones that I think is completely independent from all the other types of conferences. I mean, I know there's other different sections of conferences that kind of work together, but ETH Berlin is, it's really cool from what I hear. I've never actually been, but really excited to go. It should be a good time, and I know quite a few people who are going. Seems almost half of everybody I know is going, and so for my panel, we're going to be talking, about various different types of interoperability. Uh, continuing to support the EVM-based chain, since for both ETC and ETH, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. The different test nets that we've worked on to put together cross collaboratively, and other ways that we've worked together. And at least from my point of view, I want to talk about how, like, this isn't like a kumbaya thing. We're not sitting in a circle around a campfire holding hands, letting everybody know that we love and accept them for all their wrong ideas or anything, but rather that there's just ways that these things are mutually beneficial. So it's worth working together. And yeah,
So,
excited for it.
yeah, ETC Labs is going to be there, ETC Co-op, so there's going to be a lot of representation for ETC.
Yeah, and ETC Consortium too, which is, I think, formerly just called ETC China. I guess they've changed their name. A bunch of exchanges and miners and businesses who are involved in ETC over there in China, and I guess broader Asia.
Okay.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of ETC representation at this conference, and it's going to probably be the largest set of ETC representation so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say that for the first time having ETC there, this is a really strong group going there. You got the consortium, you got labs, then you got the co-op going there, which is pretty much like the majority of the groups contributing in ETC. So that was really cool to see. The consortium was going to be there first. Seeing that tweet the other day that they were going to be sponsoring some of it, which was really cool, because there is a communication gap between the West and the East. So sometimes we really don't know what's going on with that group, or what they're up to. So it's really good to see them at an event like ETH Berlin. ETC has never officially participated in. So I thought this was really good to see.
Good. All right. So what else do you have for us, Kevin?
Yeah, continuing with the ETC Labs news, they recently launched a program called Studio, which sort of provides the same services that the Accelerate program provides, except there is no cohort. So they'll be providing marketing if projects need it. They'll be providing mentorship if these projects need it. basically the same things that the Accelerate program will. Yeah, it's just going to be furthering the adoption and the acceleration of the ETC ecosystem.
So I'm presuming people that startups that did not get accepted into the latest cohort, Studio is like a plan B. They still get a lot of the benefits.
I can't say exactly because I honestly don't know, but they probably. I don't know why they wouldn't. I don't exactly know what the application process is or the process by which they go about choosing who they want to work with. But in their announcement, they did say that they were going to basically be the exact same services that they do with the Accelerate program up in San Francisco.
Okay, so people that are thinking of doing an ETC startup could maybe want to contact ETC Labs about that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. If you have a startup or if you have a project that you're really focused on and it's ETC related, go ahead and apply to ETC Labs. They'll help you out with a lot of the things these startups need to succeed.
Yeah, so I just can't thank ETC Labs enough for all the great stuff that they're doing, not just with the cohort, but in lots of other areas.
Yeah, no, they've been making a lot of progress with ETC. Yeah, it's been good having them here for the most part, definitely.
So like a while back, it was all about ETC dev and all the development groups.
Yep.
And now, right, ETC Labs really seems to be pushing into making things easier for users, making new applications, helping developers of new applications, not just infrastructure, which I like to see.
Yeah, so like they're a backbone pretty much for ETC right now. But being said, ETC is extremely decentralized. It's probably one of a few projects I know of that is truly decentralized and distributed in the way its ecosystems are. So yeah, let's say ETC Labs were to disappear tomorrow. ETC wouldn't be going anywhere. It'd still be, just as it was the day before. So I thought that was something to note. But yeah, it's been extremely fortunate. We're extremely fortunate to have this group come in. Yeah, they've been doing a lot of great things with Ethereum Classic.
All right, very good. What else do you have for us?
Yeah, so the Studio program, it says they're going to be providing expertise for people who want to build and deploy dApps on Ethereum Classic, as well as crowd sales and guidance on project, go-to-market strategies. So, yeah, like I said, it's going to be pretty similar to the Accelerate program, except there is no cohort. So to continue on the ETC Labs tangent, they partnered with NASDAQ and with Lehigh University. And from what Liz, the director of ETC Labs, told me was that they were going to be providing a lot of educational content, a lot of Ethereum-focused educational content to a lot of their classes at the university. I thought this is going to be I think this is going to be extremely beneficial for ETC. In that a lot of people learning about computer science and about other things related to it, they'll also learn to apply that to Ethereum Classic. I know Ethereum's done a lot of similar things, so this is extremely to see a university partnering with a incubator like ETC Labs to focus on Ethereum Classic.
I know. I like the sound of that. I'm just curious, what does NASDAQ have to do with this partnership?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I think they might just be part of the...
funding maybe or something?
Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. It looks like there's a group which the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center maintains. It's the Lehigh. It's called the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center, and then Lehigh University is obviously a separate university. But yeah, they're going to be training, people to, learn about Ethereum Classic and how to apply their learning to Ethereum Classic.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And all these things we're talking about, by the way, I have links for all of them, and I'll leave them in the description.
All right.
So let's see here. So ETC Labs Core also released their view, and they've been making a lot of progress as far as their own products go, and as far as Ethereum Classic go or projects go. For the Ethereum Classic side, they've really taken the lead with the Atlantis hard fork coming up. They pretty much did a lot of the coding for that Atlantis hard fork, as well as guiding a lot of the meetings that we had to get down the timeline to, everybody's on board with what's involved with this ECIP. They've been really taking the lead on this, which is really great. We're really fortunate to have that core team there. As well.
Just to be clear, Core, I presume, is the name of the ETC Labs Infrastructure Development Group?
So that's
okay. Just want to clarify that.
Their core team. Sort of think of ETC Labs as having two components, one of them being the accelerator program, another one being the actual core dev team. So yeah, they've been doing a lot with creating development tools for dApp developers. They've sort of been building on. I don't know if the audience remembers, us championing Emerald SDK and talking about Emerald this and Emerald that. So they've sort of continued on that and continued building out these dev tools in the form of Pristine and Jade Suite, as well as OpenRPC.
Very cool.
Yeah, so also Saturn Network, which one of the major contributors right now in the ecosystem. Looking back even 2 years from today, there was nowhere near this much development activity, let alone third-party development activity. So it's really great seeing a third party like Saturn come in, be goal-focused and get their, hit those milestones. They've been developing a lot of this really cool infrastructure for people who want to deploy tokens on ETC or deploy, different sorts of businesses on ETC. So Ethereum has a lot of this already, and it's really great to see Saturn developing the same thing for Ethereum Classic.
Yeah, I had some Saturn guys. I did a show, on Saturn a while back, and I remember being really impressed with their project, and they just seemed like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and they're extremely driven too.
So yeah,
extremely driven, extremely motivated. They finished their first HODL session, which was this app. You would throw some ETC at it or throw some ETH at it, and it would basically set aside a certain amount of their token. But they ended up raising 1,288 ETC, and a modest amount, 50. And they ended up closing out their HODL program, which was pretty, in my opinion, pretty monumental, because nobody's done this before on ETC. Know if you're going to hit your goal or not, and they did. So I was really happy with seeing what they're doing in this ecosystem.
Yeah, good stuff.
A year ago, Saturn was just coming out. They came out with the Saturn wallet, which at that time there was no MetaMask like wallet for ETC other than classic Do you remember what that was called? Classic, the Chrome extension.
Classic Mask.
Classic Mask.
That was it. So yeah, we basically had that, sort of fork of MetaMask, and it wasn't sort of being maintained. And Saturn came in and they brought out their Saturn wallet, which is a fork of MetaMask. And ever since then, we've been seeing a lot more projects starting to build on ETH. There's a very good amount of token projects, which are really cool and everything. But they're tokens, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, it's really cool to see this ecosystem growing because, like I said, 2 years ago, this is just not happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm personally just excited about these decentralized exchanges maturing. I don't want to see Coinbase and Bittrex. I mean, I like those exchanges, but it's nice to see the decentralized ones come of age as well.
Oh, definitely. Especially because of these, obviously, trusted third parties are security holes. So you have hacks like with the Binance hack that happened pretty recently. There's a lot of bad things that can happen when you leave your coins on an exchange. Have an exchange start to geofence their users, so now you can't access your coins, or now you have to completely trust that they'll give your coins back after through the support, whatever their process is. So having Saturn, I think, is an extremely beneficial service for not only Ethereum Classic, but for Ethereum also, because Saturn is pretty much the only DEX that I know of that is truly aiming to be, one, censorship resistant. They don't want to have third parties come in like maybe a government or whatever and completely shut them down. So they've taken sort of the approach to keep themselves sort of at arm's length. A lot of their developers and a lot of their personnel are still anonymous. We have no idea who they are. So that's one reason why I really love Saturn is their whole focus on being censorship resistant and being truly decentralized. There's been a lot of issues with semi decentralized exchanges recently. I'm not too sure, but there was I think it was Ether Delta that had an issue. But yeah, Saturn's been taking the route to be truly decentralized. I think their end goal is to be DAO instead of having a group of developers and a group being in control of the project. So they're going to have a decentralized autonomous organization, which is really beneficial for the Ethereum ecosystem also, because right now you've got faux DEXs and they're having censorship issues. They have to geofence certain countries. It's really beneficial not only for ETC but for Ethereum as well. I think the main thing I like about Saturn is, like I said, their approach. They've been really, really strong on being censorship resistant, on calling out scams and calling out scam exchanges. They've put out a ton of educational content to educate the communities about what it means to be a decentralized exchange, what it means to be a semi-decentralized exchange, why some of these other exchanges really aren't decentralized at all. It's really good having them here.
I know what I wanted to say about Saturn. They have a lower barrier to entry. So I've never tried to deploy an ERC20 token, but I understand that the centralized exchanges, there's a cost involved to list on their.
That's right.
And so these decentralized exchanges lower the barrier to entry for new startups.
Right. That's another thing that I forgot about, is that they have this self-listing feature. So they will not list anything for a project. In fact, I saw the other week when Metronome came out, they actually approached Metronome and said, "Hey, you guys need to list your token on our exchange," and they did. So that's another way they keep themselves sort of at arm's length with tokens that are being listed. So they're not in control of who lists what. Any project can go up on their platform, whether they're on Ethereum or Ethereum Classic, and launch their token.
Yep. So we will continue to follow their progress, and we definitely wish them all the success.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
They've been extremely beneficial for this ecosystem. Extremely.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, what else do you have for us?
So that was the majority of topics I wanted to go over. But I also want to reiterate that we have the upcoming summit, which is just extremely exciting, especially seeing this hearing about the speakers and then seeing the tweet out about who's speaking, about what they're speaking about. It's really going to be an interesting summit because there's a big variety of different people that are going to be there. And it's extremely interesting to see the dynamic and also to see what everybody else is talking about and what they're working on, and maybe they have some cool announcements they'll be doing there. But yeah, the tickets are free. They're going to be up in the event's going to be up in Vancouver, so anybody who's available should definitely go up there. We're going to have panels. We're going to have a lot of speakers. The last two summits have been extremely amazing, and I think this one's definitely going to top out those two.
All right.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Aren't you speaking up?
Yeah.
And
You know what you're speaking on?
I'm going to do the state of ETC like I did last year.
Okay.
Just an overview of what ETC has grown to.
All right. So have we covered everything, or did we forget to mention anything?
It looks like for the most part, we've covered a lot from ETC Labs. Just to reiterate, they launched their studio program, which is similar to the accelerator program. They partnered with NASDAQ and Lehigh to start offering Ethereum Classic folk educational content to them. They're also launching their second cohort next week. They're not launching it next week, but they're having their cohort launch party next week. So if you're up in San Francisco,
Crazy amount of stuff.
Yeah, a lot. But it's good. It's good to see that they're cranking out all this new stuff, new partnerships, strategic alliances, and stuff like that. That second cohort's really interesting. I would tell everybody to go check out the link to their announcement for the second cohort because they have a lot of interesting startups. I would definitely say go ahead and check that out. Also, we covered the ETC Labs core review. They've been making a lot of progress in the Ethereum Classic ecosystem. Like I said, not only with their own products, but various network upgrades that are coming up. And then, we went over Saturn and their quarterly review. Yeah, so that was pretty much the topics that have been going on in Ethereum Classic. And then the summit is coming up, and that's going to be something, that's going to be a sight to see.
All right, very good. All right. Well, thank you, Anthony, and thank you, Kevin, as always, for your thoughts and news updates. And so until next time, we'll say goodbye right now. How about that?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.